The game Aether World. It was released at 10 years until as a dating simulator targeted at a female audience, but it ended up having significantly more male players. It allowed to play a variety of characters starting from easy but very efficient characters to very difficult but inefficient characters. Among them, I was one trash character, especially known for his difficult level and troubled features. There was one private who mained this character, Baek Yuseol, for 10 years. It's me. While he was checking out new posts in the platform, he saw a comment saying, "Piece of shit game with the random ass dragon?" It appeared out of nowhere and blew all of my game data. Yuseol said, "Final boss in a dating sim. I thought these usually end when you get together with one of the characters." Well, it doesn't make sense that there will be a monster with magic nullifying skills in a magical world. Is it really bug? People are seeing their characters are getting deleted. After that, he went into the game to check if they were right about the appearance of the final boss. Then he said, "This must be it. Dark Demon Dragon has appeared." So he was curious about what kind of guy he was, so he read the story roughly. The story was like this. In Aether World, there was a cult-like organization called Dark Demonic Humans. Their goal is to help an other world, called Persona Gate, take over this world. And when they finally managed to achieve this goal, the Dark Demon Dragon appeared. 90% of the content has already been taken over by Persona Gate. I've only concerned myself with PvP and not the story so far, but the whole lore got messed up. Then he decided to fight the final boss. He said, "Are you sure of my skills I've owned over the last 10 years? If I am to explain my character Yuseol, he is the sole character in the game who cannot use magic, despite the fact that everyone can use magic in the game. Because of this, even the most experienced players choose to not play him. Basically, he's worse than an extra. Of course he can use some magic, well, just one. He can use the Blink spell. Yuseol's Blink spell allowed him to randomly travel between 3 to 10 meters very quickly. The direction he will blink in is random, so if he does not control the distance well, he will die immediately due to the speed and impact. On top of that, the cool time and mana usage is ridiculous. There is also a penalty that you cannot move for 2 seconds after using the skill, so anyone can learn it, but most people don't use it. However, Yuseol has mastered the use of Blink. He can control which direction he will go in. As well as the distance, he has also managed to nullify the penalty. It doesn't use up mana, since it doesn't even have mana stats. Unlike other spells, Blink was nothing more than just movement's ability. But I become obsessed with this character, since everything dependent on my skill level. So over the last 10 years, I have been playing as the only character in the game that doesn't use magic and battles. You have defeated the final boss, 13th Moon of the Black Knight. What did I really kill it? I know that I'm basically covered head to toe in ancient relic grade items, but it's still a garbage character. Well, that's nice I flexed to the community that I killed the Dark Demon Dragon. Suddenly, with a ringing sound that covered the world because the wrong ending has been reached, 90% of Aether World has been destroyed. However, you were the closest to reach the true ending. Then the world had gone dark. The ceiling became apparent and his vision narrowed. With a headache in the head, he woke up and said, "What's going on? And where I am?" When he opened his eyes and looked around, he realized that place where he was lying was a crumbling hut. While curling up the stinging cold, he accidentally discovered a mirror. It was broken and left lying in corner, neglected. His next action was almost instinctive. He picked up the mirror to say his face, and soon he had to doubt his eyes, and he said, "This appearance, this is Baek Yuseol." At the moment, a message floated in the air. Episode 1, Escape the Chase. Rather than a message floating in the air, he was more surprised by the fact that it was such a familiar phrase. Then he said, "This is Baek Yuseol Quest." After that, he checked his pocket and found an admission certificate to Stella Academy. He said, "It's hard to believe that this is definitely Aether World. And I had to be Baek Yuseol. I need to be logical about this. That voice told me to reach the true ending. But from what I know, this game doesn't have a true ending. It just has multiple endings. No one has managed to reach the true ending in the last 10 years? Damn it, this isn't the time to be thinking about that. If my memory serves me right after Baek Yuseol wakes up, the people chasing after him burst into the hut. As those thoughts fell, he could hear the sound of footsteps from far away. "There's a hut over there. Go search it," Baek Yuseol said. "There's a limit to how long I can avoid them. But I can't fight them either. What should I do?" Something flickered in front of him. The moment he recalled those familiar words, a message pierces his eyes. "You can use the skill Blink. Class 0. Maximum distance 9 meters. Maximum charges 1. Cooldown 3 seconds. Baek Yuseol said, "You're telling me to use Blink right now? But what was in a game where I controlled my character with and keyboard?" The sound of footsteps had already reached a close distance. He said, "Damn, they're already here. There's no time left. The only thing I can do is try." He opened the door of the hut and run out. The pursuers said, "I found that bastard! Don't let him escape!" Baek Yuseol said, "The first part of the tutorial, avoid pursuers by using Blink. The pursuers, who wear magic boots, are faster than me. The only way I can successfully escape is if I use Blink." The worst downside of blinking was that if you fail to control the range, you may crash into an object and die. When the pursuers were about to catch him, he used the Blink. Some of the pursuers panicked. "What is that Blink? He is a mage." But the experienced ones said, "Don't do falter. After using Blink, then using always gets paralyzed for 2 seconds, so it's actually good for us." After a glance behind them, he ran forward again, and the pursuers were taking it back. "Wait, how is that bastard moving?" Baek Yuseol said, "I have to use the uneven terrain to my advantage. Since players who aren't able to learn how to control Flash at this stage won't be able to make it to the next episode. In reality, 99% of players who played Baek Yuseol were unable to pass this tutorial, and even the 1% who made it past the tutorial were surpassed the wall blink distance control and continuous blinking. Then he used Blink again. Pursuers said, "Using Blink in this terrain, is that bastard an insane?" Their commander ordered them and said, "People who can use magic, come to the front, attack the bastard from a distance." The 3 magic specialists stepped forward. Baek Yuseol said, "Are they trying to use magic?" The wizards are starting to attack him from afar. In the game, you can see everything behind you since it's a monitor, so I could dodge it then. Suddenly, another message floated in the air. Skill Magic Leakage Syndrome is being used. Magic Leakage Syndrome's derivative skills, Sixth Sense and Cognitive Acceleration are being used. The feeling come again. He felt every object flying from behind vaguely. Everything in the world was made up of the law. In other words, there was mana in everything, and all that moved by it were detected by the curse of the mana leakage delay. To put it simply, he couldn't use magic by accumulating mana in his body, but he was able to feel all the mana around him with his sixth sense. Thanks to this, he managed to avoid the attack. But not perfectly. When he was almost hit by the attack, he used the flash to completely avoid the attack. Then he said, "That was close." He kept running until he reached the cliff. Between the stone wall and the cliff, there was floating stones floating around at intervals of 5 to 6 meters. and he can only cross to the other side if he perfectly execute the range control of Blink. Then he can meet up with some passing mages and escape, and that's the end of the tutorial. In order to pass this part, he have to cancel his Blink spell, which occurs in 0.1 seconds at the perfect time. If he fail even once, he will die. Baek Yuseol said, "There are about 20 floating boulders. 0.1, they count that a lot easier said than done. Just watch freaking bastard me that tutorial like this? To be honest, this is just about doable. The problem is, the pursuers are closer than I expected. The distance between me and them is about 100 meters. Since my Blink has a 3-second cooldown, that's not enough time to make it across. It looks like the likeliest method for my survival is to kill them all." He hid behind a small cliff and said, "Even I think this is crazy. How dare I think I can do this when I've even been in a proper fight, people? If this were a game, the system would make it impossible to attack those who are chasing me. But this is reality." However, instead of worrying, a gently touched the dagger that was tied to his belt. The pursuers had chased him to the brink of ruin. The question of whether he could do it was put aside. He hasn't quite figured out his situation yet, but one thing was for sure. If he don't do it, he will die. Yuseol revealed himself, figuring out where they were. Their leader commanded them, saying, "Got him! Catch that rascal right now!" The enemy rushed in front of him, saying, "You dare fight us all alone, idiot! You're done for!" When the distance between them decreases to 8.7 meters, Yuseol used his skill Blink, approaching so fast that the enemy cannot resist, and stabbing it at the vital point. His Blink's cooldown had not returned yet. He turned the archer's body and pushed it way with a kick. The leader-class warriors shouted when he saw Baek Yuseol's quick movements. "He's getting away! Don't let him escape at any cost!" Baek Yuseol said, "I did with one of them, but the next attack won't be easy. How do I go about this? Why is so quiet, though? Did they give up on chasing me?" Then he realized and said, "No, they didn't. Are they using magic again?" The wizards unleashed a barrage of fireballs. Baek Yuseol avoided by using Blink. The pursuers thought they had hit him, but suddenly attacked him from above, leaving him no room to react. Then stabbed him. The pursuers stood in shock. Baek Yuseol said silently, "Now there are 2 of them left here. I need to end this before the 2 who fell behind catch up." The leader of the chasers said, "What a weird guy. He's got an uncanny reaction speed for mage. Who on earth are you?" Baek Yuseol said silently, "My reaction speed is ended faster than most professional gamers, but that's only when we're talking about games. I can't just keep dodging their attacks forever, especially at such close range. I will end this as quickly as possible." Baek Yuseol set off towards the enemy. The chaser said, "I've already figured out your fighting style. All this guy using is playing and the dagger. As long as I protect my face and neck, the dagger won't even scratch me. Then he should. Come on, bring it on!" At this point, he thought he was blinking in the distance, and when he suddenly approached him, he hastily jumped back, aiming at the bowler in the back. The chaser said, "Damn it, earlier! You keep running away like a rat who's never fought before." Baek Yuseol replied, "Earlier, thanks for helping me get better at it. You little Bart, just because he went easy on you, I'll kill you this time." Baek Yuseol ran towards the enemy, carrying a spear and dagger in his hands. Baek Yuseol threw the dagger without giving the other person a chance to think. Naturally, the warrior arised his sword and slashed the dagger in layers. The chaser said, "Using Blink head-on puts me at the risk of getting counterattacked. Is he trying to lure me into defending my front by throwing the spear and then aiming for my side? I won't let you have your way. Now I just need to attack him while he's beside me." When he turned around, there was nothing behind him, because Baek Yuseol had even expected that, and this time he really dug into the front. The warrior looked forward again with desperate expression, but it was already too late. The tip of his spear had reached his heart earlier. The pursuer said, "Was he planning on attacking me a stop front from the beginning?" And those were his last words. Episode 1. Escape your pursuers is over. As the warrior collapsed, he also fell the ground. His hands were trembling. This was partially due to the fear of death, but more so because he had never driven himself to such an extreme situation before. The pain come from all his body, and the 5 corpses lying all over the place made him realize that he had become a different person. And he said, "That's right, this isn't a dream. I killed a person to survive." He got up despite the pain that swept through him and said, "Let's leave this place for now." Slowly standing up, he realized that both buddies had pockets. He was poor and didn't have much money, so he had to make a realistic decision. He shoved the pockets of the pursuers. There was quite a bit of cash available, about 2 million credits. Then he said, "Now the problem is, I have to cross this cliff." After that, someone shouted from across the cliff, "Is anyone there?" Baek said, "That's the group of mages that appears in the tutorial, isn't it?" In hurry, he waved. "I'm over here." They said, "There's no bridge nearby. Are you able to cross?" He replied, "Yes, I am on my way." Someone said, "Let us wait, since he said he would cross." His friend answered him, "But to cross this cliff, he'd have to be at least 3rd class." Could that young boy do such a thing? While the wizards were expressing such a question, the boy starting across from them suddenly appeared on top of floating stone with aftermages waving as if gliding. What was that? Is that a jumping type of magic? As the wizard panicked, a certain wizard in a grey robe sitting at the back answered, "It's a blink. But a plane won't be able to control the direction and distance. How is that possible?" 2 men in robes appeared behind the boy and started casting magic circle on the palm of their hand. The leader hurriedly shouted, "Hey, watch out!" Baek, who understood the meaning of these words too late, looked back. It was only when he found a huge sphere of flames that flew toward him. Before he could finish swearing inwardly, Baek jumped forward. The sphere of flames collided with the floating stone he was standing on and crashed to the ground. Baek said, "Are they with that mercenary from before? This is dangerous. Blink's cooldown is 3 seconds. Dodging all magic with it is not possible. I have to find the next floating stone that will work as my foothold." When he was looking for another floating stone, the stalker attacked him with lightning magic. Fortunately for him, he avoided this, but he lost his balance and fell. As he was falling, he noticed the floating stone and used his ability. When he grabbed the floating stone, he thought he had survived, but he was surprised by a ball of fire heading towards him. When his thought he was dead, someone fried ice magic and stopped the fireball. Then Baek said, "What was that magic just now?" An ice spear covered with lightning. Someone just used 2 attributes in one magic in that tutorial. Furthermore, the caster precisely calculated the trajectory any mana. Who could perform such a feat? The one who unleashed that built-in magic. It was the girl in the grey robe. As soon as the pursuers saw the power of the magic, even nullifying the magic they were using, they began to run away like rat. Finally, Baek breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Since I live anyway." Eventually, Baek was able to safely cross over the cliff. The leader approached first and asked Baek to shake hands. Then he turned his head and said to the grey-robe wizard who had helped him, "Thank you for helping me just now." She replied, "I didn't do it to receive any gratitude, so don't mind it." Baek said to himself, "She's got the prettiest voice I've even heard in my life, but she seems kind of difficult to approach." After completing an episode, suddenly another episode appeared in his mind. Episode 2, Enter Stella Academy. Completion of the second episode wouldn't be too difficult, but he was more worried about what will happen after that. and what he's going to do in the school life at his age.
お前はもう死んでいる。